Everyone, welcome back to our third edition of our webinar series on AI and ML. And in today's session, we are going to talk about how AI and ML will not only define the jobs of the future, but also, redefine the current jobs that we already have in play, and how these jobs will keep evolving, and with AI being a very core of that change. So, my name is Dipit Sharma. I'm the Director for Alliances and Partnerships at FirstUniv, and your moderator for today's session. We'll open the Q&A after every session, and of course, I would request you all to please participate. It's our objective to make these sessions as interactive as possible. Our experts for today are Dr. Pankaj Vaidya. Dr. Pankaj obtained his BE from SDM College and BTech from VMR FU. Dr. Pankaj is currently the head at the Yogananda School of AI at Shulani. In his long and illustrious career of 25 years, Dr. Pankaj has mentored and guided thousands of students in their pursuit of computer applications and AI. He also is an active writer and a researcher with many national and international papers to his name. He also has multiple patents. So Dr. Pankaj, please, I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of everyone. And
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir. And joining him is Mr. Ashish Khosla. Ashish is an engineer from PEC Punjab, MBA from IIM Calcutta. Ashish has extensive experience in senior leadership roles across the world in companies like Citibank, HSBC, UNB, to name a few. Ashish is also an angel investor and mentor for many tech startups, and currently serving as the president for innovation and technology at Shulani, director at Shulani's AI School for Yogananda, and Ashish also serves as the chief executive at AADDOO, which runs the FirstUniv platform. So,
hi everyone, Ashish. And thanks for the introduction, Dipit.
My pleasure. So, gentlemen, over to you, and of course, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good afternoon. Dr. Pankaj, you want to start, please?
Yeah, thank you, Ashish. So today's our discussion is how AI will impact the existing jobs. So when I see the current scenario, almost 90% companies are switching over to AI because it gives them productivity increase. They have better selling capacity. They have latest technology to be used. So most of the companies are using this. Job in artificial intelligence are totally future-proof. Can I go to next slide, please?
Sure. If I would like to add there is that, there's a big divide between the AI haves and the AI have-nots. The AI have-nots are people or jobs which are likely to be impacted by the use of artificial intelligence, and therefore you'll have a cut of jobs there. But the AI have jobs are the ones which are linked directly to AI, where AI, computer scientists and computer engineers are involved. And those are future-proof. In fact, those are the roles and jobs that are actually growing in future. And that's what we're talking about, Dr. Pankaj, right?
Yeah. So AI is becoming a standard in all business now, not just in the world of technology, but all other businesses. We will discuss one by one with you.
That's very true, Dr. Pankaj. As you said, the AI is there. And, I myself have worked in banking and in the finance sector. It's a big one. In telecom, in manufacturing, in the car industry, in education, in healthcare, and, in advertising, in marketing, in retail. Talk about an industry, and definitely AI has a big role, as you just said. And, the research actually shows that around 60 to 70% of all companies will have some form of an AI application in the next 3 to 4 years. And essentially that means there is going to be large growth of jobs for people who know and understand AI.
So one of the very interesting field is the medical sciences. Artificial intelligence in medical sciences is the use of machine learning model for search medical data and uncover insight to help them. AI algorithms and other applications powered by AI are being used to support medical professionals in clinical setting or on, and so many research are going on. Recently, a heart disease and other patient data is available. So it is very easy for doctors to quickly identify the problem with the help of AI. Am I right, Ashish?
That's right. In fact, we were talking about it the other day in the previous webinar that we had, is that to train a doctor, one needs the doctor to spend 8 years studying and reading books. And in each of these books, the doctor sees one example of every field of medicine and learns that over a period of time. On the other hand, to train an AI, what it needs is you need 100,000 images. And probably you can do a supervised learning algorithm which says yes cancer or no cancer. And based on that 100,000 images, in a day's time, you can train the computer to be able to tell you to detect cancer. So basically 100,000 images, but just one day is what it takes AI to get some idea as to which of these patients is potentially having cancer. Of course, in the field of medicine, there is a lot of ethics. The question of ethics comes up, and can we totally rely on AI which does not have emotion or feeling? That question is always there. But if you look at assisting doctors, if you look at the area of developing a pharmaceutical where we develop medicines and do research around that, the fact that we've got the RT-PCR test so fast in a month of getting coronavirus, the reason for that was the AI they used there. Of course, we all know that the vaccines for and the work that was done to develop the vaccines for coronavirus was expedited again because of AI. So you can see real examples of AI being used in the medical industry. Yeah, and the next industry is automobile, right, Dr. Pankaj?
Definitely.
And I was in Dubai a month and a half back, and imagine my shock when I saw a car driving in that street and there was no driver. Yeah. And though I have been used to that in some of my other travels, it was a bit of a surprise. And that's what's happening. Self-driving cars are coming in. We're just about maybe a couple of years away from a mass viewership of such cars and mass sales of such cars. But we can see many self-driving technologies already. If you want to back a car into a parking, AI helps you back. In navigation, you have Google, of course, right? Every time I go to a new city, I just wonder, how did people find their way without Google? I mean, Google has this AI way of figuring out where you are and what's the closest, fastest path to wherever you want to go. And of course, in manufacturing, in the automotive segment, again, it is a very big one. At Shulni, we were working with, in our mechanical department, we were working with devices, and we figured out the right device can be, identified much more easily if you take the full data and look at which is the one you want to choose at this particular time and this particular application.
So another exciting field is cybersecurity. However, cybersecurity is totally a different field, but AI is also required in cybersecurity. In the pandemic, in the COVID period, we are not at our offices. We are using a small network at our home, which can be easily hacked by the infrators. So AI can help in that also. As cybersecurity grow in volume and complexity, artificial intelligence is helping under rescued securities, operations, and analysis of staying ahead from the attackers. So we can collect those data before the attacker hack, we can find their patterns, and we can be safe with this. And IBM is the one of company who is working very hard with this, and they have a special drive for AI in cybersecurity solutions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's very interesting. And so can you talk a bit more about that, Dr. Pankaj? Exactly what is IBM doing, and what has been, I think you've also been involved a bit with that, right?
Yeah. So currently, the threat intelligence comes from millions of research paper, blogs, news, stories. AI technology like machine learning and natural language processing provide rapid insight to cut through the noise of daily alerts, drastically reducing the response time and also helping to prevent you from the attacks. You can see this time attacks are not from only phones. They send you an email, phishing email, and the pattern of these emails are almost same. So when we have a large number of data, we can predict which side is uh, going to give us a threat. So we can immediately reduce that threat by just clicking on our computers. And we have right now we have some softwares already installed in our computers, and they are going to improve day by day so that we can save ourselves from cyber attacks.
True, true. Thank you, thank you. So as we had this discussion with IBM a few days back, and they were explaining about their CDX Connect program, right, where a lot of the backend work of looking at the data of cybersecurity is being done by AI, right?
Yes.
While the final interpretation is still done by the security expert. So
Right.
yes, but that also means a lot of backend work is actually going to AI, and the data has been collated and put in different groups and segments. And that's very important, because when you have a real-time hack, you don't want to wait for one day before being able to find out the nature of the hack. You want to be able to do the response in real time. And that's where AI and its ability to crunch data fast can become very useful. Yes?
Next is very interesting field which we are having in our daily life, e-commerce. AI is playing vital role in e-commerce, and it is the future industry. Anything you buy from anywhere, everything is stored and they predict what you want to buy. And Ashish is more expert in this field, so I would like to tell.
Sure. I mean, if you just look at my own experience in retail banking,
Yeah.
and we've seen AI a few years back. We started out with chatbots, and I think 3 years back, a vendor came and said we can do AI-based chatbots, and it sounded like science fiction at that point of time. But today, almost every large company uses AI-based chatbots or AI-based voice recognition in some way or the other. And to drive e-commerce, of course, every time you search for a shirt on Google, suddenly next time you see that you go to a website and they start showing you shirts. And that is a huge data that is being used around AI. You click on one image on the internet, and AI engines are able to pick up that image and show you similar images across a portfolio of products. That is AI as well. These days, you have this area called shopper personalization. So if they know that Dr. Pankaj has, for example, bought a car, they will know that probably he needs car seat covers, he needs different kind of tires, right? Maybe he needs destinations close to his home where he wants to visit and spend the night or eat out. So all that area is shopper personalization, and they use huge amount of AI techniques to find out what would suit Dr. Pankaj the most, right? In fact, there's this nearest neighbor algorithm, right, Dr. Pankaj, which they use to say that if Dr. Pankaj is so much like Mr. X, Y, and Z, and Mr. X, Y, and Z, when he bought a new car from the same area, he went and stayed in these places for holidays or ate out in these places or bought the following things, then Mr. Pankaj is also likely to do the same, and they give offers around that. So that's shopper personalization. And of course, when you come to e-commerce, sometimes you go on to buy something and you're out of inventory. So warehousing and inventory automation, all that is today relying on AI. So broadly, if you see it in banking, for example, not directly, but the biggest challenge in banking is to find out two things. One is who's going to run a fraud on the bank in consumer loans, in corporate loans, or credit cards. So AI, on a regular basis, people are improving the levels of AI programs that can detect possible frauds. The other AI area, of course, is finding out who's likely to pay back and who's not likely to pay back on a bank loan. Again, more and more AI models are being used. And of course, both in telecom and in banking and insurance sectors like this, who is most likely to be benefit from this particular product? So that is coming out. So if Jio probably offers you a package, which is 1 year, certainly, although you're on a 30-day package previously, you can be sure that there's some kind of artificial intelligence or machine learning algorithm at the back of it, which is telling them that you are the kind of customer who's likely to buy this kind of product. So there's a lot of work and it's very exciting. And this is a field which is growing very, very fast every day with new applications coming in every day, which also means that, people who are being hired by these companies have a sense of AI ML directly, or at least they know how to use artificial intelligence and machine learning to improve the business area they're working in. Right, Dr. Pankaj?
Definitely, definitely. So,
yeah,
the area of artificial intelligence have huge aspects. We have high demand of qualified AI specialists, rewards experts in the field of lucrative pay, trades, considerable freedom, and the salaries of these AI engineers show average annual salary for these engineers are reached almost $1,12,930, which is quite high. We definitely need different specialization, especially when we work on AI at different industries and can impact the expected salary. While earning a qualification help finding the job in the find of experience, which means that some of the profiles definitely need a qualified certificate or qualified education in the field of AI, which give you a more salary. There are few fields where we don't need any degree, but certain industry definitely need a qualified degree or qualified professional certification so that they can get higher salaries. Same is the case with...
That's very right, Dr. Pankaj. In fact, the way I see this is that there is going to be a rising demand in the field of people who understand machine learning, and it could be different areas within machine learning. It could be different kind of modeling within machine learning. You could even have mid-career requirement for people who understand a particular part of the industry, for example, medicine or banking, and are able to apply machine learning end users to that particular industry. If you look at, as you said, pay scale says the average salary is $112,000 US dollars. If you look at the same thing in India, and we've done some work there to try to identify what kind of salaries we get. So, entry-level salaries, as you know, are between 6 to 12 lakh rupees, broadly speaking, right? Of course, you'll always have outliers at 15 to 20 lakhs as well, but that's the broad range, right, Dr. Pankaj? That's the range that you see at your university, right?
Definitely, and you can see that in the Indian portal for jobs, Naukri.com is showing that more than 37,000 AI ML openings are available in India right now. So this give you an idea how important and how prosperous this field will be in next 2 to 3 years.
That's right. That's right. And to be very frank, when we speak to a lot of organizations, particularly if they're not in the top 50 or even in the top companies, they are still experimenting with AI. They're still doing a few projects in AI. They haven't really yet adopted AI in a very, very big way across all their processes. And that is actually the potential of AI, that every process in every organization can be improved using this the algorithms in this particular field, So we will actually see this. And I'll not be surprised if you do a search on Naukri.com 2 years from now and see 10 times this number, like 400,000 jobs openings for AI and ML, because that's the pace at which industry is today coming out with new applications which need artificial intelligence. Right, Dr. Pankaj, you've seen that, right?
Sure. So while you want to make a career in AI, you have different fields to work with. For example, machine learning researcher, AI engineers, data mining and analysis part, and machine learning engineers with medical science, data science, and business intelligence developer. So all these careers are available with the AI. But to do these all careers, we have to do few breakthrough technologies. We have to study some breakthrough technologies of machine learning, which will be discussed in next section.
Sure, sure. Let's actually, I think you're the right person to tell us, if you really want to break into AI, and you've seen some of your students do that, you've guided some of your alumni as well, people who worked in, standard software jobs, and how you've guided them on how to get an AI job. So, that's something we definitely want your insight on, Dr. Pankaj. Please go on.
So we need few basic learning skills. One of them is.
So do you have a summary somewhere, Dr. Pankaj, or are you going to start with this? Okay, let's start with this. Fine. Okay.
I have summary. I can tell you one of the basic skill we need is learning essential mathematics skills. Then we have to study some basic computer science skills.
Okay.
And then we need to have a degree or a certification in particular area of AI.
Okay.
And more above that, we have to learn few programming languages which are required for AI machine learning algorithm designs.
Okay.
And then specifically, we have to learn some machine learning tools which are available in different languages. And at the end, we have to practice all these things with available data sets which are online available, and we can try our skills on that. And then we build our own project which can go into our portfolio so that we can add it in our resume and we can show it to our companies.
Okay. Okay. So I have a few questions here. I think we can probably take it now. How good a career choice for non-technical background for students? That's a question. And, I'd like to answer that is that, to be very frank, if you can know how to code, right? And we probably will I think we should take that up later on after we talk about how can you break into computer science, right?
Right.
Let's take some of these questions after we tell them exactly what they need to do and what they need to know, right?
Right. So learning essential math skill doesn't need complex mathematics. It's a very simple linear algebra, statistics, probability, and multivariable calculus. These are the few fields which are required in mathematics. We are not going to differentiation, integration, and hardcore mathematics. So this is not, students should not afraid that mathematics is there. But simple mathematics, linear algebra, statistics, probability, I think everyone like these subjects. There is no trigonometry, there is no other tough subject in mathematics. So student must go through these skills before starting the machine learning area.
So coming to the first question, which is, can I, if I'm an art student, can I learn AI? I would say at the first level, if you want to be a data scientist or an AI engineer, then you should be comfortable with your class 12 maths, at least, where you know stats, probability, linear algebra, right? And that's a must actually to start out on your journey in artificial intelligence. What do you think, Dr. Pankaj?
Yes, this is the very basic area. Everyone loves these subjects. Even I studied in 10th and 12th these subjects, and I love these other than other hardcore mathematics.
Ideally, we'd recommend some study of these subjects at the college level as well, right? If you really want to be a AI engineer, right? Of course, you can work in a non-technical part of AI and ML and look at applications of AI ML, and that is a different area. But if you want to be an AI a computer engineer or computer scientist, then I think it's very important to learn these to be strong in these fundamental areas, right?
Right, sir.
Okay.
Another essential skill which we need is the study of basic computer science skills. Computer science skills preferably is the computer languages. So computer languages along with developing the logic behind the code. For example, very simple code, you have to write a program on a factorial, but how to write that code is very essential. First, you need to solve that code, and then you have to implement that through any of these languages. It's not necessary you know all the languages, but at least Python we recommend as the best languages because it has all subsets available for artificial intelligence. We can do AI in MATLAB, R, or C, C++ also. But I recommend Python is the best language suited for AI. So you should have basic knowledge of Python.
Yeah, that's right. I totally agree with that. But I've seen AI engineers with, particularly data scientists with strong backgrounds in MATLAB and R as well, right?
Right.
So in the industry, so you obviously need to choose an area where you're probably, if you have some existing knowledge of any of these 4 areas, you continue with that. If you're starting from quote unquote scratch, then Python I think is a very good bet to start with, and even kind of do some more advanced work in, because of the huge amount of libraries that are available on Python for machine learning, right?
Right. So learn specific about machine learning. There are some pre-existing tools like NumPy, SciPy. These are available with Python. You have to learn these tools. And then an example is scikit learning library from classical machine learning algorithm. Deep learning idea, you should have how to write algorithms in coding with the help of deep learning. And then IBM is also helping with IBM Watson. This is a already IBM course which you can opt for this. And Ashish, you are running a company.
That's right. You're totally right about that, Dr. Pankaj. We've seen that. In fact, we've seen students, they make their first program, put it on GitHub. And that program can be a very basic thing, just to take an existing, sample from maybe NumPy or SciPy, create a data set, check it up based on that, see whether it works. Won't work the first time, keep refining it, put it on GitHub, say this is my first project, and then gradually start working on your own projects, and over a period of time improve your overall skill set there, right? But I would like to say one thing. A lot of people think they can break into AI or machine learning in a hardcore job by just doing the theory part. That will not work, right? There's a huge difference between the theory of AI, ML, and the actual practical. For that, it's very important that you have a portfolio, that you spend time developing a portfolio of the unique projects that you worked on. Ideally, these are real industry projects. When you do that, then you take what Dr. Pankaj is telling us and you bring it to the next level. And that's my thought on that. Yeah, you're talking about existing data sets here. So, that's the start, of course, Dr. Pankaj.
Yeah. So there are large number of existing data sets available on machine learning on online platforms. So previously we have to gather those data, but right now when these are available, so I request all of you to try these data sets, free data sets, and that you can use for practicing using machine learning. Using previously gathered data, you can focus on applying what you have learned without time-consuming step of collecting data. So you can select data for different qualities of data with which you have to practice. And you can, example of quality, you can include number of instances which are collection of information at a given point of time, such as a medical record, attributes, or another quality you can select, which are descriptors such as date, age, gender. So just from available data, you can practice on these descriptors, and you can learn how to code or how to generate an AI algorithm.
True. So that's a very important point which you've highlighted, and which I was also trying to indicate. I think the first step for a starter is to learn the basics or while you're learning the basics, you start with an existing data set. Don't even wait to learn all the basics, right, Dr. Pankaj? What do?
Definitely.
You straight away start with an existing data set, uh, use that data, and build your own model and see whether it's working or not, right? And in the meantime, it will also help you understand the math behind it. So you can in fact you can even start with a very basic data analysis work. Forget about building a model. Look at the data analysis, see which way the data is flowing. What is it telling you about this particular problem? And then slowly you can learn the math behind it. It helps you understand the math behind it. And by that time, if you picked up a language, Python, and then you can kind of fine tune the programming itself, right? That's what you basically are saying, right, Dr. Pankaj? That's how you kind of push most of your students who've done well later on, right?
Yes.
That you start with something right away with an existing data set, right?
And when you get more comfortable working with the existing data set, you can begin to collect your own. After you gather your own data, you can clean it and use it in the same way as existing data set and practiced with before. Over the time, you grow a profile achievement to show your prospective employer or client to highlight your skills.
That's a good point.
So depending upon the job you are applying, it may be required to hold a college degree in AI, but not all jobs in machine learning require a degree. As I told you before, you may be able to prove your skill through alternative routes like your projects, portfolios, which you have done by yourself, or your performance in competitions. So one suggestion I will give, whatever you code, put it on a GitHub. So most of the recruiters go there and check your codes, and then they call you directly from GitHub. So this is another way to present yourself without having any degree, but a degree or a qualification which shows skill in computer engineering with focus on AI is mandatory to get a very good job.
I totally agree with that. I would say a degree or a certification is the first step, right? Because it is such a lucrative area, I would suggest that anybody who sets out in this field get a degree or a certification first. And that will help you in two ways. A, it will help you pick up the skills which are so critical for success. It will also help you identify if you're spending your full life in a particular area. You want to know whether you like it. In fact, more than that, you want to know whether you love that particular area, whether you love dealing with data and building models and tuning and fine tuning that, which is a large part of what AI and ML engineers do, is to work with data and mold it in a way that it fits a particular model, which is called training data. And if you love doing that, then you actually go and spend your full career doing it, right? And while you're doing that, you build a portfolio of projects which you share on GitHub, along with your comments and the full documentary of your insights. And that helps. If you go to an interview, that definitely helps. Is a big plus for you when you go to an interview for a key job, for a key role in AI/ML, to show that you've done something which is not just a tick mark. It's not something that you just picked up from a tutorial service, right? You've actually done something on your own, which is unique. And these are examples of that.
Ashish, I would like to add that while doing this, you have to join some communities and attend some conferences.
Yes.
Professional conferences also allow you to develop your skills, especially by learning about the latest development in the field, because it's a happening field. Every day we are getting a new thing there. So be in touch with communities which are AI communities online, or there are professional conferences. So you must attend those professional conferences and build your professional network, so whom you can contact and you can meet and create a new challenge.
Yeah, I totally concur with that. Yes, of course. Just attending this webinar, for example, gives you a leg up. So
So ensure your CV show real industry projects. There are some projects shown here. So diagnostic cancer from images. This is a medical science project. Even
So these are
Ashish,
some of the projects you worked with your students directly or indirectly with, right, Dr.
indirectly.
Pankaj? You and your faculty, right?
Even I have worked on drug discovery, which is
Mhm.
almost same as this. When a pharmaceutical chemist discover a drug, and he will work in wet lab for almost 10 to 12 years to find where this drug can be utilized. So we have developed a machine learning model with the existing drugs, with their receptors to match with the new molecule, how they can be combined in future drugs. And we got 75% accuracy at that first level. So once we improve that model, this 10-year workload of wet lab will be reduced definitely. So
Very
this is my
interesting,
area.
Dr.
So that's why I just put it in here.
True, true. Very interesting point. Yeah. And then we have a lot of other ones, definitely speech to text, face recognition, AI-based chatbots. These are standard ones. Risk of loans analysis is a very common project, but on a unique data set, on a live industry data, it takes it to the very next level as well, right?
Right.
Okay, so the whole idea is these are sample of a few real live industry projects, work on them, collaborate with teams, look at organizations which give you access to actual real industry data sets for real industry projects, which is so important before you actually start your first AI and ML job, right? Dr. Pankaj?
Definitely. So with
Yeah.
these words, I tell you that AI improve its knowledge by gathering data. And once we have data, we can analyze this data with the different speed, and result will be simply surprising.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And, you know, over a period of time, you build a feel and expertise into which model is fit, what kind of model is fit for what kind of problem. And that's very important, right? Because
Definitely.
very often a lot of these models are standardized. What you have to see is what kind of data to take and what kind of model to use, supervised, unsupervised, CNN, just a neural network, you know. So all that is very important in your building of your own profile for your entry into an ML job.
So when you study all these things, then you have to go to the principle and techniques of AI, especially computer vision, natural language processing,
NLP,
deep learning, algorithm implementation in deep learning system. All these fields, you have to go one by one once you get exposure to the basic things.
That's right. And you can probably do all of them at a broad level, but you may want to specialize in one. You may want to specialize in computer vision. You may want to specialize in NLP. You may want to specialize in a particular application of deep learning. But the point is, first build a broad vision across the core techniques, right? The core recent techniques, and then you develop expertise into one of them definitely at least. And that will again help you when you actually go out in the industry. Yeah, I think that's, with that, we can conclude your lecture, Dr. Pankaj. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ashish.
Dipit, do we have any questions, Dipit?
Yes, Ashish, we've got about 4 questions. So these are the ones that we currently have, and I think you had said that we'll answer a few of them soon. So I think Rajesh is asking what about placement. So I just want to tell Rajesh that we at FirstUniv are guaranteeing, interviews and placements for you. So we'll be looking out for that. So, if there are many questions and around to that, one of our counselors would be very happy to get in touch with you and have that conversation.
Right. Okay.
Right. Now, I'm not sure if you answered this one because I did lose audio for about a minute or two in between. So Raman is asking, how would it help me if I'm from arts background?
So firstly, you need to know, if I may answer that, Dr. Pankaj, you need to know what you want to do in a career. Or if you look at AI/ML, what do you want to do in AI/ML, right? If you want to do
Definitely.
hardcore coding, then you need to step into the zone of coders, learn Python, learn the basic maths, start experimenting with what Dr. Pankaj has called existing data sets and existing models, right? Do that and find out for yourself whether you want to pursue all this in a career, right? So it's a bit of a, there are probably people who are very successful with an arts background, though typically you're looking at people who have a maths orientation, right? Is what you're looking at, and is essentially what you're looking for in a machine learning or artificial intelligence role, right?
Definitely, if computer attracts you, then arts is not a barrier to learn anything.
Right. Yeah. But you have to move away from into that particular dimension. Of course, there are areas within AI and ML which are application driven, and that you can do by entering a particular industry. And for example, there are data scientists who spend years in a particular industry that understand the modeling and the maths part of it, and use their learning of that industry, which could be telecom, health, banking, to be a data science analyst later on.
Right. Thank you for that. Nandini wants to know which mode is better to learn this program, online or offline?
See, Nandini, there's a lot of research on that. And the answer is it depends on the individual. That said, a lot of coding is learned by your own, and that is online. There are online communities, there are online video lessons, there are online teachers. You have online access to hackathons. The largest community where you can see projects which are free is GitHub. It's online and free. So eventually you'll have to learn it online. Sometimes you may want somebody face-to-face teaching you. You may want somebody online who's teaching you the same things. But there is no getting away from online in today's age if you really want to learn computer science, any language in computer science, because you have to get in touch with the online community, be part of it, embrace it, right? They will pose questions to you, you will pose questions to them, you will learn something from them, they might learn something from you, and that's how you build your the skills in your particular area of expertise within computer science. Dr. Pankaj, do you want to add to that?
So definitely, it's depend upon person to person, as you said. If I am keen to learn something, I can learn it offline at home, online at home, or if I need a guide every time who will force me to teach, then it's offline. Very simple. It's all about your zeal to learn.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Dr. Pankaj, for those answers. Kabir wants to know that can he pursue this after completing BA?
Pankaj, you want to answer that, Dr. Pankaj?
Yes, definitely you can pursue it after completing BA, but then you have to go to different frame like MCA, Master of Computer Application of BA, and then you can slowly jump into the computer science, and further you can do a certification or any degree in AI applications. But it is quite possible, if even if you have not done the maths, you have to study very little maths, which is not complex one, and you need not afraid of that. That's all what I want to say. It's not impossible to go to MCA with little math knowledge and then go jump to AI, but you have to some basic computer knowledge. So do your masters in computer applications and start with AI.
Yeah, totally concur with that, right?
Right.
Or you can do a 6-month certification to start with, right?
Yes.
And dedicate yourself in a way that you really do well in that, right? Maybe a 6-month or a 1-year certification. Really dedicate yourself and come up the curve fast, because to be very frank, what really depends is how immersed you are, what skills you pick up, and what kind of projects you do. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Ashish and Dr. Pankaj for that. And one last question we have is from Reshant, who wants to actually, no, we got two more questions. Reshant wants to know that how will it help any working professional?
That's a good question, Rishant. But the point is very simple. It goes back to why should you learn AI? Is that it's the very first thing that we saw was that AI will impact jobs in many segments, in many areas, right? So depending on what area you are working in right now, I can give it to you in writing that that particular area in a few years down the line will be impacted by AI. And the second point is that AI jobs are future proof, which means to state it in other ways, it basically means that AI is versatile, it will last the test of time, it promises you a bright career. In fact, people call it the skill of the century. You're working in an area which is future oriented, where the salaries are amongst the best in the industry, given by any ranking, any rating. So you enter that industry, you enter that area of specialization, and you build upon that, right? So that's the reason. And then again, it depends on your own internal motivation. What is it that you really want to do in life, right? If you really want to make a change in an area which involves thinking, right? Then AI is the right career for you. Dr. Pankaj, you want to add to that?
That's true. If you want to learn computer science, you have to learn every day a new thing. Even if you are a professional, if you grow in this, you want to grow in this field, every day something new is coming, and you should be aggressive to learn everything, to raise yourself, to raise your performance. That's rest. Ashish has already told you everything about it.
And the good thing is it's a new field, right? If you look
Emerging.
at deep learning, it started in 2010. So unlike in other areas, you might find somebody says, I've been working in this field for 25 years. The average amount of time a professional would have spent in AI would be 3 to 4 years. You join it now, you can actually leapfrog a lot of other people and go deep into the industry and be a top expert yourself in 3 to 4 years. So that's a big thing about joining a new field, which is just coming up.
Right. I just have one more line to add to that, since I've also attended multiple sessions now with Ashish, Dr. Pankaj, Dr. Kushal. So I just want to add that it's one of those things that is industry agnostic. Even if you feel that an industry right now doesn't have an AI element to it, in the future, it most definitely will. And it's an incredible way to upskill your existing profession. And the last question we have
But
is
before
from,
that, I want to emphasize
right.
one thing. Learning AI is not a cakewalk. It's not a simple, easy thing. You have to
Right.
apply yourself. You have to be serious about it, right?
Absolutely.
There's a
Yeah.
reason why it's in demand, because people are experts in that. So you need two things. First, you need to go to an expert, somebody like Dr. Pankaj, Dr. Gaurav, Dr. Kushal, who think about algorithms all day long, right? You need to get their expertise, follow the kind of track they take you on. Today, Dr. Pankaj so nicely put on 5 things you definitely need to do. And he started from very simple things and went into more complex things gradually. So you have to follow an expert, get their guidance, but also go and deep dive into the subject. And that's very important.
Absolutely. And we could do that for our students, and that is exactly what we plan to do is get an expert like Dr. Pankaj on a weekly basis, and make the journey slightly more easier. But you still have to apply yourself, as Ashish rightly said. Fatima wants to know how to differentiate between AI and how to differentiate AI with data science.
Okay, before you do that, I will just say who should do AI and who should do data science, right? That is probably your question. So I think data science you should do if you are more interested in maths and stats, right? Because data science is the backbone, is the modeling part of this whole area of artificial intelligence, right? How do numbers work? how does the model of AI itself work? What is the likelihood it will work or not work? What are the insights we can derive from this? And that's data science. While AI is basically, and machine learning is about building of software that uses these models to give you a particular output. So both of them are very interesting fields. But if you're more interested in writing software, if you are a more practical oriented person relatively, then AI is the right field for you. But if you're a mathematician, if you're Ramanujan who said 1729 is a unique number, or somebody like that, who's a natural with numbers, data science is a clear fit. Pankaj, Dr. Pankaj.
Basically, data scientists work on the data acquisition system. Data which we collect is the raw data. The data scientist's responsibility is to clear that data, arrange that data, and find the preceptors in that and manage that data. Where AI use that data to train our machine by writing algorithms, code, as Ashish told. So they trained, basically AI is coding, as Ashish said, and data science is mostly stat and working with the different set of data to clean them, because when we collect the data is almost in raw form. So cleaning that data, managing that data, and keeping ready for any application in AI is the job of data science. I think it will clear your doubt, Fatima.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj. Thank you.
Thank you.
To our attendees, do we have any more questions? We still have some time left. I think that is all. I can't see anyone type. Dr. Pankaj and Ashish, any closing statement?
Just I want to summarize all the things which we have done to become AI scientist. Do some general purpose languages, read some database management system, data analysis and statistics, work with IBM platform, IBM Watson or AI platform, and also give some thought about data acquisition system at the last. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj. I think that was very nicely put. So thanks a lot for that. Dipit, you want to end with a closing remark of your own today?
Yes, please. To all our participants, especially the returning ones, thank you so much for supporting us and being a part of this. And the whole idea of these webinars is to answer some very basic questions around AI and ML. At the same time, get into very complex topics so that you know what is in store for you in the future, what are the challenges, and of course, what are the opportunities. And FirstUniv, of course, wants to make that journey as seamless and smooth as possible. We, of course, would be back next week with a new interesting topic and new experts as well.
David, you want to touch on the guarantee, the placement?
Oh, yes, of course. Absolutely. As mentioned earlier, we are providing a guarantee, and this is in black and white, that once you sign up with our courses, we will guarantee you a placement. So that is the FirstUniv guarantee.
These are the PG certification courses, right?
PG certification courses, that is correct. And we have an excellent career cell that can help you through the guidance right from when you complete your degree. We'll also help you with the interview prep through, again, using our AI-powered coaching tool. We'll guide you along the way, and we are here to help in whichever way we can, because we feel that it is our duty to make sure that after our students are equipped with the right courses, they should also find the right jobs. So that is something that that we are guaranteeing. So if you are considering a career, or if you are considering any of our courses, I think now is the time to act on it. And our team is here to help, and you are in contact with all of them. And if there's anything that you need from their side, they would be very happy to help. And we, of course, would be reaching out to you on our own to get more feedback on how we can improve not only our webinars, but our overall offerings. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Ashish, and thank you, Dr. Pankaj. We really appreciate it. See you all next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.